Okay, plan for today, build a tire rack, get all the tires off the ground. Gonna put it in between these two beams in the garage. Building out a 1x1 square tube. Main tool is gonna be the Evolution saw. This is a saw made for slow speed steel cutting, which is kind of nice. Otherwise, here's a few materials. Gonna end up mounting it to the wall and then hanging most of the supports off the ceiling. So have a couple of smaller light duty D-rings that'll be in the ceiling and then welded to the frame. And yeah, it's gonna be about 12 foot, 6 inches long. It should hold hopefully all of those tires. And let's get to it. I like to use a pick to score these before I cut them. This one needs to be a little bit over 48 inches. So I think I'm gonna go 52 inches. And this will be the addition to the 8 foot. So, you know, 8 plus 4 and a few inches longer to fit inside that. I'll go ahead and score them. I'll make the cuts, and then I'll show you a little trick that I use as well. These are cut at 25. What I'm going to do with these to make it 23 in the center, take an inch here and an inch here, as well as up here. Going to cut just 3/4 of them off, so that way you have just a flat spot, so that way you don't have to put a cap and have ugly ends. It'll be like an easy way to cheat a miter cut. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Good way to measure. Put where this is going to go, score it, and then cut that, as well as do that on all 4 sides of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quick. I'll clean these up a bit with a grinder, but I scored them and I'll only cut pretty much a C out of them. I'll get the sides to the top off, but leave the bottom, so that way I can use that as a cap when I weld them together. You also kind of don't have to be perfect with this. You can kind of clean them up with a grinder when you get done with them. But yeah, I'll go ahead and cut these really quick. I'll leave the camera running just so you can see how I do it. I'll be able to knock that off with a grinder. It should be pretty easy. So I'll do that 3 more times. All right, now we have a basic setup of what we want. We need, you can see what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna make a cut across, and that way I can make a cap. I'll go ahead and film that really quick on one side. You know what, I actually forgot, I got a bandsaw, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut those out on the bandsaw. I can walk you over there really quick. The purpose of doing all that, as you can see, it caps well there, and then you just weld it in place, and then no need for a cap. So it's pretty good when it's all welded up. So now what I'll do is I'll start laying everything out, assembling it. I'll probably get the welder out and start tacking everything together as well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, line this up and tack it. Welder should be all set for 16 gauge. I already kind of cleaned it up with a grinder. I'm gonna put a couple tacks on it. Make sure it's clamped right, make sure it's covered okay. And then do it to the same other side. Alright, so I went ahead and kind of welded everything together. This is the overall size. It's pretty big. That's a 12-foot or 10-foot sheet, so it's about 12 foot and 6 inches or so. Like I said, the caps turn out pretty nice because you're able to overlap them and give a little more surface area to weld on. So the next thing up is I'll make 2 center supports. They're going to be about 23 inches, which is the inside diameter. I'm going to put them on where I had to put the 8-foot and the 4-foot one together. So that way there's a support tying these 2 in to there, as well as those 2 into here. So there'd be about 4-foot sections to hold the tires in, wheels and tires in. And I'll get to that. Alright, so I have them all clamped up. I'm gonna go ahead and clean them with a little bit of a grinder, get the mill scale off of them, and then go ahead and tack them in place. Other than this, I think I just have to weld on the D-rings and then just the wall supports. And those, I'll kind of go through those when I get to it, but those will just be little scrap pieces with flat iron, and then that'll bolt into the studs. This gets it off the wall a little bit so I don't scuff the wall as I'm putting the tires into the tire rack. Alright, so next up, everything got finished welded. Everything's welded all 4 sides. So now I'm going to start connecting these D-rings. Each one of these is about 400 pounds of support. I figure I don't think I'm going to ever have more than 1,200 pounds hanging from the rafters. More like probably like 300 or 400 pounds total. So I'm going to put 3 total, one on each end and then one in the middle. I'll clean up the metal before I start welding. But right here, I'm going to plug weld it, and then weld around it. And that way the D-ring will still be able to flip around and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, do all 3 of them, and then I'll pick up. Okay, so now I have the whole thing finished welded, corners kind of cleaned up, just from some splatter and whatever. The bottom is all cleaned up as well, just that way when you're looking at up top from it, it looks better. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and start screwing in lags into that second joist. That's 32 inches off the wall, so the overall size of the rack is 25, so I'm going to compensate and build little spacers off this wall to hold the thing to the rack, and then the D-rings will go into the second joist and hang, and then I'll start kind of screwing those in now. Alright, so I finally cut these and tied them up. I need a couple more of those from the store, those little clamp things. So I'll go run out and get those once I finally kind of get it mounted. The middle one doesn't have one because I'm missing it, but I'm going to go to the store and grab a few more. But so right now I'm just going to measure out and see where they go. I'm going to clamp those into there. Alright, so it's mounted. Pretty simple. I'm going to end up having to shorten those hang downs. I didn't take into account the size of that hook, so those add about 4 inches, so it's hanging a lot lower than it should. It should be a few inches higher up on that wall. So right now it's just resting on the trim, trying to get some measurements. I'm going to kick it off the wall with little legs. So every other stud, I'm going to weld a leg to it, and then I'll lag the leg into the stud to kick it off the wall. But that's kind of how it's sitting right now. Like I said, I still need those little clamps. And then I already welded the legs. I need to take it down, but this is pretty much what it's going to be. The top, they're still super hot, so I won't touch them, but the top is going to weld to the rack. This is going to bolt into the stud, so it's off the wall but still braced. And that way the tires won't hit the wall when they're sitting up there. Those are only 4 inches, so it'll be perfect. It's going to almost line up exactly how I wanted it to. So, but yeah, let me go ahead and take it down, weld those things to it, and then put it back up and lag them in. Okay, so welded the legs on. You can see there's 4 supports into the wall. Measured everything off. I have it braced using some 8-foot long 1x1 because I cut the cables too long, which is good because I kind of planned for that. That one I'm still missing the thing. I haven't gone to the store yet, but I'm in the process of leveling everything out. So now that everything's lagged to the wall, I'm going to level this out, give it a little bit of forward, so that way I can take up some weight when the wheels get on it. But yeah, so I'll make these cables the right length, start leveling everything. Same thing with this guy. But yeah, this is pretty much it. I tried to design it as best I could. It shouldn't interfere with the lift at all. Obviously these legs will be gone, so it'll just kind of be free floating right there. But yeah, shouldn't interfere with the lift. It's right down the center, so nothing should hit cars in the rack or anything. But yeah, getting excited in the final stages of this. I'm kind of debating whether to paint it in place or to take it down and paint it. I just want to kind of do the corners. There's a ton of mill scale on it too, so I just want to kind of get rid of that. All right, so tighten the things to where they should be. I'll cut them down when I get all the clamps that I need. Again, this one's still missing them. That was tight. So it's a little leveled forward, so that way when I put the tires on, it'll put more weight on the wires as opposed to just being tight and then still being unlevel. So it should level itself out as you put tires on it. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, that's not too bad. I think I used a total of 5 8-foot long, so about 40 feet of 1x1 square. Not too bad. Yeah, and then just some flat stock that I cut up and put some lags in. Yeah, maybe all in, probably about 60 or 70 bucks, so it's not terrible. But yeah, it's a pretty cool setup. Once I get everything wired in and cut and trimmed, and I'll put some wheels on and show you guys the final product. All right, went to the store, bought the last remaining pieces. I ended up doubling them up just because they're cheap. So there's 2 per loop. Everything's mounted, leveled out, ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and toss some wheels on it, see how much it holds. I already hung from it just to make sure everything seems all right. So I'm gonna start loading up with some wheels. And there you have it. 14 tires on a rack. Doesn't interfere with the lift. Little side note, none of them touch the wall. So when you put them up there, no scuffs or anything. So that'll be nice when we paint, it won't scuff the wall. But otherwise, can't complain, turned out really nice.